So you've got a loop and you've got a B section. Maybe you have another section, but you don't know how long to make each section to make sure that it makes sense over the whole course of the song. That's what we're going to get into. Hey, I'm Isaac Schanno Johnson. If you don't know me, I'm a musician, composer, producer, and I make videos about all that fun stuff. Music composition, music production. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to see videos like this in the future. All right, so I had a great teacher in college at Berkeley named Vuk Kalanovich, and one of the things he made a big deal about in music was proportions. Now, I know that might sound a little weird because you don't think of music as really being proportional because it's music, right? Why would you be doing anything with proportions? But it has a lot to do with music, okay? So one thing that he would talk about is form. And if you don't know, form basically means the different sections of a song as you hear them. So, for example, a common form in music is chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, chorus, or something similar to that. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, something like that, right? That's a very common form to use in music. Another common form that's used in music, not necessarily pop music, but lots of other types of music, is ABA or AABA. And what that basically means is that you have an A section, section 1, idea 1, thing 1, and then you have that same thing again. Then you have a B section, which is idea 2, thing 2, whatever you want to think about as that second section, a different, often contrasting section of music, and then you go back to the A section at the end, right? So you have A twice, B once, and then A again. This is often used in jazz music because you'll have people play through that, then solo, then play through that again. Now, when you're writing your own music, you might not want to think about this when you start writing or during the creative process of coming up with ideas, but once you have all those ideas down on paper and you're trying to finalize a song and finish a song, this is something that could be helpful a lot. It could be super helpful thinking about the proportions of all of these pieces of music. So basically, the whole idea is you want to make sure your sections are equal in length. That's it. That's the whole idea. I know that sounds really simple, but it can be really useful when you're writing songs with lots of different sections. So if you're writing a song that's, let's say, AABA, and the A section is 8 measures, make sure that the B section is 8 measures too. That's the whole idea, which sounds really simple, but when you're writing music, you might be thinking, well, I have this 32 bar section at the beginning, but afterwards I only thought of a 4-bar loop. That's not what you want to do. You want to create a 32 bar section from that 4-bar loop, which can be a challenge, but try to make sure that your music is proportional. Most of the time when I'm writing my own songs, I do this exact thing when I'm finalizing everything. I look at, are the sections almost equal? Are they close to equal? Maybe I write a lot of music recently in AABA form or ABA form or something similar, and I kind of think to myself, is this the same length, right? Now, it doesn't need to be exactly the same, but you kind of want it to be generally the same length. If you have a section at the beginning that's 32 measures and you repeat that section to make it 64 measures, then the B section you kind of want to be 32 measures too, so that when you come back to the A section at the end and when you're playing through the B section, it sounds even. Otherwise, it might sound lopsided. Now, in context with my teacher, I was writing a string quartet, and I had a section in the middle that changed tempo, so it got faster. So what he said was, good, you have this thing at the beginning, which is fine, and then you have this thing in the middle, but look at the total time it takes to get through this middle section versus the beginning. This middle section is 30 seconds. The beginning section is 1 minute 30 seconds. Listening to this as a listener, the middle section is going to sound like it's cut short. It's going to sound disproportional. It's not going to sound like it's even. So make it longer. So that's what I did when I was writing it. I made it to be 1 minute 30 seconds long. I don't remember how long, but I made it to be more even. And it's kind of this weird idea because you're not thinking about specific rhythms or specific harmonies or specific chords or specific notes or anything. you're thinking about whole chunks, whole sections. You're taking a step back from all of that and looking at like a map of the entire piece. That's what'll help you write better, more proportional, more even sounding music, because you're thinking about not just the rhythms you're using, not just the melodies, not just the harmonies, but you're also thinking about the form, this larger idea. And if you look at a lot of music, it tends to be fairly proportional because it sounds better a lot of the time. Not all the time, so break these rules whenever you want to, but a lot of the time it sounds more even. It sounds like you get to develop an idea fully. You get to hear out an actual idea of music to its end rather than sounding like the idea is being cut short. Let's take an example. Let's say we're writing a string quartet. Sure, that's what I was writing, and we want it to be 3 minutes long. And we want it to be ABA in form. If we want it to be ABA in form and we want it to be 3 minutes long, we're going to have to make each section a minute long. And that's all it is. Or around a minute long, right? If one section is 50 seconds, another is a minute, and then another is 55 seconds, fine, whatever. But you want them to be generally around the same length, because otherwise it'll sound like you have one idea that's really short and you don't get to hear the end of it. And then you jump to this other idea really quickly and then you don't get to hear the end of that. And then you jump back to this first idea, but you hear it for a really long time. It's kind of going to sound like it wasn't planned out. Like you spent too much time on this one thing at the end, but you didn't spend enough time on it at the beginning. It'll sound disproportional a lot of the time if you don't plan this out. Try and make pieces of music that are even. AABA, ABA, ABAC, ABA are all fairly common forms. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus, all common forms of music that you can use this with. But let's say we take verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus as an example. If each of those is 16 measures, it'll make sense when you listen to it. If you have a verse that's 4 measures long, and then you have a chorus that's 32 measures long, and then a verse again that's 16 measures long, and then a chorus that's 8 measures long, and then you have a bridge that's 64 measures long, it'll sound lopsided. It'll sound a little strange. If that's the goal, if that's what you want as a composer, as a producer, that's what you want to do. But if you want something to sound even, then make the sections even, like literally in time, which I know is something that you don't often think about in music. You don't think about how long a section is in minutes or seconds or whatever. But that's kind of what you want to do, is take a step back, look at the overall thing. If you were looking at, let's say, the playback bar on your whatever you're playing it on, right? On iTunes or Spotify or Tidal or whatever, the playback bar at the bottom, the time counter. If you're looking at that, could you generally guess where certain sections are, and are they evenly spread out? That's what you want to think, which is a very strange thing to think about, because when you learn composition, when you learn music production, when you learn how to play an instrument, you never talk about that. But when you're putting together your own tracks, that's something you very much want to do, because if you want it to sound like each idea is finished, and if you want it to sound even, you have to make everything even, which is kind of like, obviously, duh, you need to make everything sound even. But it's something that people often don't think about. You think, oh, what's this second idea? That's it. It's 4 measures long. Fine, whatever. The first idea is 32. And then you move on. But you want to make sure that you lay out everything evenly. And if you're using a DAW, like Reason or Ableton or Pro Tools or Logic or Cubase or something, you have the luxury of being able to look literally how long each section is really easily. You don't have to count like you would on paper. So make your music even if that's the goal. If you want it to sound uneven, make it uneven, but know that it is a more jarring sound. Making your music sound uneven in different ways might be the goal. So what I mean by that is you can make stuff sound asymmetrical. For example, like Stravinsky's music, you can make it sound asymmetrical by using different meters, but his form is going to be pretty even. So form is this thing where you zoom out sort of from a lot of musical ideas, right? If you want something to sound off or atonal or jarring, you're not going to be thinking about form, you're going to be thinking about harmony, melody, and rhythm. So think about that as you're composing. It can be this really, really useful way to make something sound very complete, very finished, very polished, very professional. That's kind of a simple thing, right? Like, I mean, the thinking, hey, I need all my sections to be 32 measures or 16 measures or whatever, 25 measures, right? Like, thinking that is a really easy thing, but it can help a lot when you're making music, because it's this thing that people won't necessarily pay attention to when it's done in a way that is even, but it is something that people will hear when it's not even, right? Like, if you're listening to a song that has a section that's 4 measures, then 16 measures, you'll notice that, but you might not consciously think, oh, what just happened? But it's something you'll notice. So as the composer, as the producer, it's something you want to do. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something about music. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.